Gaming Today presents Cash Considerations.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Cash Considerations podcast. As you'll see behind me, Mr. At Heed These Takes, Matoy Pearson is in the house. We're following, rules, I think. Not really. Also on the show, our guy Big Dave, Sports Be Gay Consig on Twitter. What's up, man?
What's up, boys? Good to have all you here.
What's the deal, Big Dave?
Hey, nothing, Mo. Looking good. Nice, clean shaven. I like it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And we got a special guest this week, the Junkyard, a.k.a. Jeff Davis of Caesars. My man, my boss. What's going on?
What's up, Al? Hey, Mo, how the hell did you get a clean shave? Because, I'm a mess, clearly. And
I can't, just give up my guys like that, unfortunately. Not while we're recording, at least. But we'll go over it afterwards, if anything.
All right. Fair enough.
You're definitely not clean shaven, Jeffrey.
No. Filthy.
Oh, man. Well, to give you guys the quick rundown of the show, basically, Jeff and I were pretty much in it yesterday or 2 days ago or whenever the hell it was. I don't know. I can't keep what day of the week it is anymore. But we put up Coach of the Year at Caesars. We put up Rookie of the Year. We've been putting up NFL season props for yards and touchdowns and a whole board of stuff. And we're going to go over that a little bit. The one breaking NFL thing that just happened, I don't know how big of a news it is, but Andy Dalton just signed with Dallas. Jeff and I are two guys that I know have been really high on the Cowboys. Wouldn't shock me at all if Mike McCarthy has a great season with them and then has 7 years of, Mike McCarthy football in him. Well, we'll see. Anyway, Big Dave, I know we kind of chatted a little bit about Dalton and the Steelers and whatnot. Are you a little disappointed at all that he's gone to back up Big Ben?
No, actually. It's just one of those things that we had talked about the odds. And, with the Patriots being the favorite, the Jags being the second short choice, Steelers being a third choice, that's a pretty big number for him to go to the Cowboys. So it's kind of surprising odds-wise, but not surprising what the Cowboys are doing. As far as the Steelers and the backup quarterback, I know you've said it. It's not Mason Rudolph, but it looks like it's going to be Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, I think they should probably go get somebody a little better than that with Big Ben's health history lately, but who knows?
Right.
Also tagging in, Mr. HB, Mr. Horse at Gaming Today News. What's going on?
Hi, fellas. Oh, Mo and you in the same room, huh?
Yeah, is that a big deal or?
I'll just put on a pair of gloves, Mo. Just you.
Yeah, that's almost borderline disrespectful.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me for a moment.
Derby HB?
I'm sorry?
Charlatan, are you familiar with this horse?
Yeah, he won the weaker division today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He only won by a million lengths, so I couldn't tell.
Yeah, but it was like an allowance race. The other race was a lot deeper. The horse was called Nadal, named after the tennis player.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I feel like I seen a joke made. Someone made a joke like that on Twitter. I didn't know what was going on, so it went over my head.
No worries.
Yeah.
We're here to help you.
Well, since we got Jeff this week, let's kind of dive in with him. We put up Coach of the Year for the NFL. First time that I think it's been available in Nevada. Why don't you give the listeners a little insight into where we were looking at odds and how you were kind of approaching it?
Man, what a fun market and what a weird market because, Alan, we talked about this for a few hours. Coach of the Year has so little to do with being the best coach in the NFL. It's all based on where your team was last year. It's almost like comeback team of the year and then who happens to coach it. The only way it's not is if someone goes 16-0 or, the case Bruce Arians won it a handful of years ago. Carson Palmer got hurt and he made it to playoffs with Ryan Lindley and Drew Stanton. So, yeah, he deserved Coach of the Year that year. But for the most part, like you take a look back, the year Garrett won it and the year McVay won it, I believe each of those franchises won 4 games the year prior. So we kind of built the board a lot like that, and we had a player make some bets on some guys that we don't think have any chance to win. I mean, we hung Matt LaFleur 100-1, and Green Bay was probably the worst 13-win team in the history of the NFL last year. I mean, maybe there was one worse. I don't know.
No, there wasn't. There wasn't.
And for LaFleur to win the Coach of the Year, the Packers are going to have to go 16-0. And I mean, does that roster really? Are they good enough to go 16-0? No, I don't have their schedule in front of me, but I don't think it matters. So, like guys like him, Sean Payton, who's already won the award, they went 13-3 last year and won the division. All these teams can't. These coaches can't win it, and it's funny as you sit there and you're like, "Wow, Mike McCarthy, the definition of an average coach, and he is the second choice on the board." And that's because of what the Cowboys have, and he's in such a great situation where he's fully loaded on offense, and they missed the playoffs last year. So when the Cowboys go 13-3 and buzzsaw everyone, McCarthy's going to win Coach of the Year, and it's not really going to even have that much to do with him, to be honest.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, the team that they've built and how Garrett was just never able to get over the hump at all, and especially in a division where the Giants and Redskins have been trash piles the last couple seasons. Anything to say about this, Mo? You like anybody on this Coach of the Year bracket?
I feel like I haven't taken too much of a good look at it. I think I touched on the Cardinals, being a better team, and Cliff Kingsbury, I think you guys have him like at 12-1 now, which seems like a fair price. But I mean, I feel like they're getting better, especially in a division like the NFC West that a lot of people are going to be, or a lot of the teams are going to be just as good as any team in the league. If the Cardinals end up, coming up and maybe getting a playoff seed, Cliff Kingsbury could be in that discussion.
Yeah, I agree. When we talked about it, Jeff, I think my line was if somehow that guy wins that division with how talented it is, I think he wins Coach of the Year easily.
Oh, I would tend to agree. I mean, that team only is getting better. Yeah, the offensive line probably, was pretty bad last year, but, you had top 2 receiver in the NFL, and we don't need to discuss how good I think Kyler Murray's going to be. So, yeah, I mean, the Cardinals to me are a 9 or a 10-win team, and there's a reason why he's so short. I mean, you look down the market, and you got these well-known, solid coaches, 30-40-1, and then you've got Stefanski for the Browns, who's like the co-third choice. He's never coached a game in the NFL in his life. Well, the Browns won 6 games last year, and they have talent all over the field, and if they win the division, who's probably going to win Coach of the Year? That guy.
Yeah, it's funny. Lindemann actually hit us up, I think, on Twitter on one of those things and was saying how we had too many zeros behind his name or something. So obviously there's some love for this Browns team as Big Dave's laughing. Big Dave, I don't know how much you got to look at it. Did you look at the coaches and see anything that popped out to you at all?
I just scrolled down the list, and I found it a little bit amusing that a guy like Mike Tomlin is so low on the list and some names above him, just because I saw somebody on Twitter.
Bias.
There's a guy in Pittsburgh that does a sports talk show on 93.7 The Fan. His name's Colin Dunlap. He said no love for Tomlin and retweeted the sheets. So you guys put the sheets out, just get some traction. But I saw that and I was like, wow, that's really seems high because the Steelers didn't make the playoffs. They could make the playoffs. They might get the love there. But again, Matt Patricia is 25-1. I got a nice chuckle out of that.
Dave, sorry to interject. I'm not a Patricia fan either, but man, Alan wanted to make him like 2-1. Loved him. We were sitting in the office and like, I might get this guy a Patricia T-shirt. I don't know if it exists, but man, what a man crush Alan has on Patricia. Holy cow.
Wow. All right. Well, I mean,
I have no love for this pencil Pat guy. Zero love for this guy. But I will tell you this: the team is a lot better than a 3-12-1 team. And I just looked at it like I don't think the NFC North is going to be very good at all. The Vikings are probably the one team that could really make a run. But yeah, I don't buy into it. But Jeff's right. I made a case for him for sure. And Tomlin almost had that year that Arians had the other season with the where he had to take Doug Hodges and Mason Rudolph, and that was kind of the Arians season, how Arians won
Right.
coach of the year, similar to how that could have almost happened for Tomlin, and nearly did it. I think if he makes the playoffs, he would have had a real shot to win it.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think he's ever won it, which again is just one of those things that, I mean, I don't know how much that came into play when you guys were discussing, making the numbers, but it's one of those things, like Jeff said, it has almost little to do with coaching ability and more to do with the team coming back or being better. So I don't know. It's obviously, like you said, it's a fun market. It's a different market. I've never done it because we've never done it here in Nevada. So, kudos to you guys for getting it up and, hopefully, getting some action on it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see once things, kind of get back to some sort of normalcy, like what type of bets will be taken, and if the public is really interested in things like that. I think just the fact that it's NFL, it's got a shot. I don't know, Jeff. What do you think? Do you think we're going to see some public action on it?
Honestly, I have absolutely no idea. I would love to, but again, it's who knows. I mean, there's a lot of talk about coaches, and maybe it gets some 10s and 20s, like when and if. I'm not going to go on a political rant. So I don't even want to talk about this. I don't even want to talk about the Nevada governor right now. Let's move on.
When I was going through the list, I didn't even realize who Stefanski was for a moment. I was like, who the hell is this guy? I didn't even know who
I
he
have
was.
no idea where he came from. I don't know
Is this a real
anything about
person?
him.
Is it a real human? I don't know this
I don't
person.
know.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, who is Steph? And why is he so high on the list? I don't know. It's wild.
Anybody following Freddie Kitchens has to be short.
That's that was incredible. Oh man.
The Browns playoffs is still a no price, guys. You know that, right?
I don't know.
The Browns making the playoffs is no minus 150 at Caesars right now.
Okay.
Maybe tough for the guy to make the coach of the year if they don't make the playoffs.
Would you like us to put up a no for you on Stefanski, Dave?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the.
I mean, you don't strike me as a chalk eater.
No.
We put up a fair two-way line, like maybe a 4.5% or so hold, which is like a minus $1.10. You can lay $35 until you're blue in the face. Good luck.
Fair enough.
Oh man. All right. Well, we were kind of talking too. We had NFL season wins, season props up where you can bet on the yardage of particular players, how many touchdowns they may or may not score. Matoy, you had said you really loved Bradford, but apparently some other people love Bradford as well.
Or Darnold.
Sorry, Darnold. Yeah, I always say that.
Yeah,
Well, they're the same guy.
I think it's moved like 200 yards. I'm not sure how much it's moved, but yeah, the Sam Darnold over, I think I talked about when my Wi-Fi connection was an absolute disaster. Like he got smoked with mono, got crushed, missed 3 games, and he still threw for 3,200 yards to guys like Robbie Anderson and Jamison Crowder. So I think a lot of people are high on Denzel Mims. He'll be a go-to guy with like Crowder and the rest of the cast with Le'Veon Bell, who receives out of the backfield. But if this team plays from behind like they usually do because they're the Jets, this guy's going to be crushing and, throwing for a bunch of useless yards. So, that was like one of the bigger ones that I liked until Jeff told me the bad news that people have already been betting it. So I think you guys – I don't know now. I think you guys had it at like 3,300 early, 3,400. And now it's like 36. I figured it would be near like 38, at some point. But between that one and the Christian McCaffrey prop, the over 9.5 rushing touchdowns, they're going to build their offense around this guy. Matt Rule loves him. I just can't imagine him having under double-digit touchdowns if he's going to be a focal point of that offense. So,
well, we'll work backwards here. Lots to chew on there, Mo. That was a nice little bit. As far as the touchdowns go with McCaffrey, look back last year. Kamara had won through 14 weeks or 15 weeks. Like, it's a bit random. The guy's one of the best running backs in the league. He didn't get in the end zone. So why or how that is, I have no idea. Maybe because Michael Thomas is a monster and they don't end up on the 2-yard line. But, rushing touchdowns, not to tell you not to bet over, but it's a tough spot as bookmaker when you put up all these season props. We're putting up, I don't know how many we put up this week, maybe 50 or so, and we're going to end up with a few hundred. But so many things can go wrong in a season for a player, so you just have to make the number lower. Like, you never want the first bet to be on under, because if a guy gets hurt and he misses 2 games, it's going under. So you have to make the number lower, and that's why, and that kind of feeds into the Darnold thing. We open a lot low. We've probably taken, I don't know, Al, 6 or 7 different quarterbacks over yards since we've opened them.
Yeah.
And then also, just because I don't want to forget about it, Mo, you mentioned Denzel Mims. If any of you listeners are in New Jersey, DraftKings somehow has 80-1 on him to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, and I've seen prices at maybe 4 or 5 shops, and you're not finding 30 anywhere else. So if you have, some dollars in an account in New Jersey somewhere and you need to light it on fire, it seems like a great bet.
Yeah, no question. When we had our breakdown on Thursday, that was the one I was talking about. Big Dave, for you, did you see anything NFL wise that you liked?
I had just a couple notes here. The first one was Joe Burrow, and because of the interest in Joe Burrow and him being on Cincinnati, the number 1 pick, I saw the number 3,800 in Jersey, 3,750 for you guys, total passing yards. Seems a little bit steep to me. And again, a lot of it is just exactly what Jeff said. Guy's got to play all 16 games. I went back and looked. Only 8 times in history have his rookie quarterback thrown for over 3,400 yards. So big number, 3,800. I like Burrow under. I just think it's a big jump. Guy's great. Great college last season, everything else. Under 3,800. A couple rushing ones I have. Jonathan Taylor, I like over 550 yards rushing. I just think he's going to be a big part of the Colts offense. So him there. And then staying in the Jets theme, Le'Veon Bell under 875 rushing yards. That's available in New Jersey as well. I just don't see the Jets being able to run the ball any better than they did last year. He'll catch balls out of the backfield, yes, but rushing yards from scrimmage and the Jets don't seem like they're going to be a good mix. And him asking to get more than that, I think those are the 3 I just made note of. We had a fun discussion about the Baker Mayfield number. Again, I know you guys are high on Cleveland. His total passing yards is 3,999, so he's got to throw for 4,000 yards so far.
We all agree that no was good on the under, or
I like the under. I don't know. You like the under, Mo?
I'm not really sure. I feel like I had something to say and it didn't make sense at all. I was just muttering, I guess. No, before anything, I wanted to touch on what Jeff was talking about keeping the number lower as far as like wanting to take a certain bet on these props, so you don't want to take anything just ridiculous. But I was saying on Thursday that it's almost suicide to bet any of these QB props under, like all of them, like as far as like the it being a big passing league, just discovering, like, I think Phillip Rivers, you guys had at like 4,200. And I was just like, new team, it's just kind of hard for him to, to throw for something like that. And I think he's thrown for 4,500 yards in like 10 years. So a lot of these guys, it's just hard to like bet under. It's almost just suicide to put your money on it. And they end up throwing for like 5,000 yards. It's insane. So
to your point about Rivers, we actually took a bet under, and I was so mad. Like
he'll throw for 6,000 yards.
Well, no,
don't worry.
all these theoretical sharp Twitter people think that Tom Brady is trash and his season is going to be trash. Well, I feel that way about Phil Rivers. Like, Tom Brady was trash the last 6 weeks of last season, but he did it with trash offensive players around him. Phil Rivers was trash for 17 weeks, or I guess 16 games, and he had Eckler, he had Keenan Allen, he had Hunter Henry, and he was awful. So now he goes to a team that has less weapons and is in an offense that is less, I don't know what the word, they don't go down the field. They're a little bit more conservative.
Right.
And I wanted to use as low of a number as I possibly could have on Rivers. I hung 39.99 and a half, and they got bet under. And like, I'm so upset about it because I think he's not going to have a job in week 5. Like, Brissett's going to be playing quarterback by October.
Yeah. No.
And, trying to remember everything that was said, Dave, to your point about Joe Burrow, I believe we hung somewhere around 3,400. We've taken 2 over bets.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I think that's solely people just seeing what other joints offer and are just playing both sides. No one, like anyone betting now, they don't have an opinion. They just see 2 numbers and, play both sides.
Right. Just curious, Jeff, how do you determine, and I've been asked this question a lot of times too with like props and things like this. How do you determine how much to move it? I mean, do you move it like a passing yards one? Do you move 100 yards to take a limit play? Or is it straight from player to player? How does it work?
Without giving up too much, like yards, and it's kind of like moving a game to some extent. It's all a percentage. Whatever you decide you want to move it or how much you want to move it based on who's playing, it's like a percentage of the yards. I mean, if somebody bets over 4,000 yards in a quarterback passing yards, you can't move it 40 yards because they're just going to bet it again.
Right.
These things, they don't do, your big name guys will get some, some public play, but a lot of them don't. So you have to get to the right number fast. And honestly, I just want to move the shit out of it. And if somebody wants to bet the other side, great. If it falls, then so be it. But everybody's laying 10 cents. So again, I just don't want to take 3 bets on the same side before we get to what number is right.
Right. Yep. No, and that's fair. And even like the touchdowns, that's more of a juice move.
Those are tougher because then when you get down to guys like we have Stephon Diggs up, and I think we have 4.5 over 35. The meaning of a half a touchdown when the number's like below like 6, it's a ton. And trying to figure out, what 5.5 over equals 6 under, like what? Like, is it 40? Is it 50? Is it 60? It's hard to figure it out. So you're just trying not to take 3 bets on the same side before you take one on the other one.
Right. Cool.
So the one season prop that I liked that I saw out there was Swift to the Lions, 625 rushing yards. I think he's going to be the bell cow immediately for this team. So I think that's a great bet. And then I just really quickly want to recap Dave's bets. It was anti-Bengals, anti-Browns, and anti-Jaded Steeler player. So not at all, skewed towards his fanhood at all. Not at all.
No, it's just more – again, the Ravens are really good. I don't expect anybody to challenge the Ravens for the division. I really don't. I think the Ravens are going to win a division 11 games or more. I think the Bengals are going to be a little better than anticipated. The Steelers will be the same, 8-8, 9-7, probably in that range. 10-6 would be amazing. The Browns are 8-8. I just looking at the opponents, maybe 9-7. They maybe break through and go for a winning record. But again, first-year coaches, NFL, you really got to have a solid core. And the Browns have talent, but I don't know how solid of a core it is. So, yes, against those guys, and we'll see what happens.
It's fair. It's fair.
How much of an NFL brain do you need as a first-time coach to understand that you have Odell Beckham on your roster and you should consider throwing him the football? Like Freddie Kitchens, holy hell! But
yeah, that's fair.
I mean, they didn't use him. They didn't use him.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying they're going to be good, but they can't be worse. they can't be worse. It's not possible.
Yep, I hear you.
Fair enough. All right. Well, let's move things along here. One thing we kind of wanted to touch on in this show, a lot of people, especially online, have been talking a lot about the Last Dance documentary that ESPN's been doing on the Bulls. I mean, it's been one of the best sports things I think I've watched. I don't know how you guys feel. Big Dave, we kind of chatted on the previous cast about it. It's pretty cool to get this look at Jordan and the way that we've gotten to see him and the Pippen contract story and all these different things. What have you liked about it, especially?
I have been really impressed with the candidness of the interviews. the stuff that they got out of the guys that they talked to has been just amazing. And it being unfiltered, uncensored, the use of the word "fuck" by Michael Jordan is just outstanding. And when he says stuff and tells stories, you can tell it's still there. Like, it's still very, very real. The stuff that they got from back in the day is very impressive. I mean, the ability to have all of the B-roll and all the things that they shot between the stuff on the plane celebrating, them giving Krause shit just openly in front of the cameras, it was really all access. So I love it. I've been thoroughly impressed. It's brought up a lot of the feelings again that you had when you were watching it as a kid and growing up. The only thing that I could actually, just give a complaint to is it's jumbled up a little bit. It's all over the place. Sometimes it's hard to follow the timeline if you're unfamiliar with it. Not so much for like guys like us that lived it and breathed it, but for someone just jumping into it, they're like, wait a second, they're talking about, back in 1989 and this game, and then they're jump ahead back to 98. There's a lot of stuff in between. But no, it's been awesome. It's been really good.
Yeah, I think one thing that I thought was that every NBA player in the 80s looked like they were 50 years old. I see these guys, like, they have the crazy handlebar mustaches, and like Bill Walton looked like he was 62 in this, like,
he was, maybe.
Did you see? I mean, for God's sakes, but no, it was a spectacle. I mean, obviously I wasn't there during wasn't born like when they started their run, but the way that it's filmed, it's almost like you were there. They did a great job on the documentary, and I think Dave touched on the interview part. They got people from Carmen Electra to all these people that were involved, which is it's been great to see. I think Allen Iverson talked Michael Jordan into bringing it out earlier, I think it was supposed to be out way later, considering COVID. They brought it out earlier, so I'm glad everyone's getting to watch it. It's nice. It's good.
Jeff, I know you're not a basketball guy, but you were around. You were back in Boston for the Celtics, right?
Yeah, I mean, I always was. The game in the 80s and 90s is not the game now. And I love the game in the 80s and 90s. I'm a huge basketball guy. The end of my NBA watching was the Bulls Jazz Jordan forearm to Byron Russell game 6 to beat the Jazz. I think it was 97, 98 season, if I'm not mistaken.
That's the Last Dance, yep.
Correct. So I'm a big documentary guy, and I'm a big sports guy, so am I going to watch it? Yes, I have all 4 episodes backlogged on my DVR. Given the quarantine situation, trying to convince Susan and my 1-year-old daughter Ramsey to watch basketball documentaries is a bit difficult. So, yeah, will I find time to watch it? Absolutely. Am I looking forward to it? Yes. Do I have anything to offer on it? No.
Have you been watching? What was the guy's name that we talked about last time you were on the podcast? That character that doesn't.
Vocabulary.
Vocabulary. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Oh yeah, that's every morning. Every morning I get out of bed and I get Ramsey up at whatever time she gets up, 7:30, and we put Baby's First Club on. And yeah, Harry the Bunny and vocabulary. It's Harry and Larry, and there's always a good 15-minute blurb on 7:30, 7:45 every Monday through Friday. So yeah, I've had plenty of vocabulary. Quite fluent in that television show.
Nice. Are you still very anti-vocabulary?
I don't even know why I hated vocabulary. Oh, that's right. Yeah. No hamburgers, no pizza.
Yeah, no pizza, no pancakes.
Vocabulary.
Yeah, no round foods.
I need to start catching up on vocabulary. I feel like it's been a long time.
Yeah, big fan. Yeah, I got a little stuffed vocabulary that Ramsey likes to play with.
For those of you that have time on your hands and want to go back and listen to some of the old episodes, Jeff appeared with us back in October, I think it was, and we had a good breakdown on vocabulary. It was very entertaining. There's a lot of good interviews on back episodes, Jeff being one of them. He made a couple guest appearances, introduced the $7 trash can.
That was a fun episode.
Yeah, that was good. We had a lot of good things on there. So I just wanted to bring that back up. I know vocabulary was a big part of your day. I had no idea it's a daily part of your day.
Oh yeah,
strong.
oh yeah. There's a few of them. I'm not going to get into them because the listeners don't care. But yeah, there's a few different characters and skits that I'm comfortable in knowing that I know too much about.
Oh man. Well, one of the big what ifs, that comes from The Last Dance, I think, and it's like a new kind of segment we've been doing where we talk about things that happened in the past. Last week it was, what if the Grizzlies had won the lottery and drafted LeBron James? The big thing is, what if the Bulls had traded Scottie Pippen? Apparently they had pretty much a deal worked out at one point with the Sonics that was really close. And, before the Sonics made their run with the Bulls, I believe in the fourth championship that the Bulls had. So that team probably looks a lot different with Scottie Pippen on it. And it would have been interesting. I kind of feel like the Sonics probably would have won a title if they had pulled the trigger, and then Jordan might have struggled to win as many championships as he did in the second half of his career. Big Dave, you got any insight onto that? If you think that the Bulls dynasty wouldn't have been the Bulls dynasty if Pippen was traded?
I think it would have been a lot harder. I don't want to say that it wouldn't have happened, but Pippen is such an integral part of what the Bulls did, and we're seeing that really so much on this documentary. So I think, maybe they win one less, two less. I don't know. I mean, they still probably would have gotten out of the Eastern Conference. I think if he would have been traded to Seattle, the Sonics might still be in Seattle. If Pippen might have gone to Seattle, who knows where the Sonics are? But they're way better. They're way longer, and probably are still there. So as far as changing things there, I think that's huge. Everybody needs a running mate. I mean, like Jordan wouldn't have been able to do what he did without Pippen there. So removing Pippen from the equation would have changed it all.
Actually, I was going to touch on how good the Sonics probably would have been with Pippen, which that would have been insane. I think I touched on LeBron being with the Grizzlies when we talked about it a couple weeks ago. But like with Jordan with no Pippen, I feel like Michael Jordan would have been way better than anyone could have imagined, just because of the pressure he would have had just on his shoulders. To do it by himself and to continue to carry on. I think they already won the 3 championships, but I think maybe he would have won one less, but Jordan would have been way greater, I think, even without Pippen. So
they probably wouldn't have gotten Dennis Rodman either. I think they needed both those guys there to then get Rodman. That was made pretty clear in the last episode of The Last Dance, where having both Jordan and Pippen allowed them to get Rodman because they could kind of co-captain him a little bit, where, man, if it was just Jordan, they would have – I don't know if they would have even entertained bringing in Rodman.
Yeah, I mean, I just think with Pippen, Kemp, Peyton, the depth that the Sonics had, Detlef Schrempf, I know they would have given up a few guys, but obviously to acquire Pippen, but I know first-round pick, I think, was one of the big deals. That seems like, man, I think the Sonics team would have at least won one, if not 2 championships. Jeff, before we wrap this up on The Last Dance, because we know you haven't got a chance to see it, you have any thoughts on that? If Pippen had gotten traded, like what you thought the Bulls dynasty would have looked like? Or
Nope, nothing. Got nothing.
Cool. Just sliding right into 2020. Jeff Davis NBA takes. Perfect. All right. So the last thing we're going to touch on in the show is the college hoops. Mo is suffering. The G League is coming on strong. The top 3 of the top 13 kids now are not headed to college, and instead they're going to the G League. What do you think this means for the future of basketball, and is it too late for the NCAA to recover?
Fuck the G League, man. Well, I think we laughed about yeah, that's fine. Whatever. I mean, I'm still going to be a part of college basketball no matter what, but it's going to suffer until they figure out what they want to do. The NCAA finally allowed kids to, make money off their likeness and stuff like that. Kind of like a sleight of hand deal. Like, okay, we got to deploy this now. And yeah, it's terrible. It was a bullshit move. But yeah, I mean, college basketball is going to suffer until they figure out what they want to do with kids just going for tuition and going to play for teams. Now obviously the salaries bumped up. $500,000 seems pretty big. And as soon as Jalen Green went, and they were like, we'll pay for your tuition as well. I mean, it almost kind of blew the doors off the rest of these guys going in. I also blame LeVar Ball for all of this. Melo bought his own team in Australia. And RJ Hampton last year went and played for New Zealand that no one talks about. So, I mean, this thing's already been in the making. So, yeah, as soon as college basketball fails, then I'll be miserable. Oh.
I just hope we don't have to put lines on it at some point. Like, Jeff, can you imagine having to do the G League?
Well, there's so many takes I could have from just Mo's little bit here. I mean, between the nonsense of college, like NBA making guys go to college for 1 year, why? I could go on forever, and it's all nonsense. But honestly, not having to make lines or like book games in the Big Sky, like, kind of would make me happy.
Now we're talking.
It's going to drastically affect the odds. I mean, there's not going to be those dominant teams anymore. When the top players don't go, let alone they don't stay. I mean, it's already affected them not staying.
Well, Al, sorry to interrupt you, Dave, but this just hit me. Would we have to start making hypotheticals of like the Fort Wayne Mad Ants against, the Northern Arizona Lumberjacks?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If the number one recruit goes to the G League and is playing for Fort Wayne, guess what? They're going to be like, hey, you guys got futures on G League?
Yeah. No, it's,
It's coming. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I know. It's coming.
You got the top guys that are going to play in that league their first year. It's coming.
Yeah.
They're going to have lines on this stuff for sure.
Get them on TV?
It's already on NBA TV, isn't it?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they have games on NBA TV, and I think you can watch other games. I'm seeing you just going nuts back here. You can watch other games online, I'm pretty sure. No, I am.
The scores in those games are ridiculous. It's like 186 to 212.
Yeah.
Have you seen those games? No one plays defense. Actually, it would work out because they don't play defense in the NBA or the AOT. Association of Trash.
AOT. Yeah, AOT.
Get out of my house. Get out of my house. All right. All right. I think this is a good point to wrap things up because I can't take all this NBA trashing. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us. I don't know if you want to leave any parting words for our lovely audience, but feel free if you do.
I could, but for what? I'm just going to let it hang. And I'm not going to go on any more rants. I've had too much fun, and I'm not going to ruin a good show.
Oh, man. Big Dave, I don't know if you can talk, but go ahead.
Jeff's not on Twitter, but, follow along with all these great quotes in all these media outlets where Jeff's doing interviews. If you haven't heard the Michael Wilbon rant, you got to find it. It's outstanding. Michael Wilbon went after Jeff for being an expert and making the Patriots total 8.5, which is it's outstanding. But just wanted to thank you, Jeff, personally for joining the show.
You got it, Dave.
I am on Twitter at SportsBKConsig. The show is on Twitter at GTCashConsider. Thank you guys for listening, following the show. Finding us on YouTube now. We're doing this video thing. I don't know how long this is all going to go. Again, the documentary is called The Last Dance. Every time we do a show, it feels like it may be The Last Dance. But just keep following along, and hopefully we'll continue to grow the show. I'm going to throw it to the boys in my lower left corner, Mo and AB.
I can't believe we didn't touch on the Wilbon Jeff Davis debacle. I don't know. I look. As soon as the Patriots signed Brian Lewerke, I was like, Jeff knew already, like prior to this team is a disaster without question.
There are three quarterbacks on their roster right now are Brian Lewerke, Jarrett Stidham, and Brian Hoyer. It's not good. It's not good, folks.
How is Brian Hoyer still in the league? I know we're trying to close up, but he will never leave until he dies. That's what I'm leaving with.
Good teammate.
Brian Hoyer is out of the league. That's when I'll be happy again. That's what I'm leaving. I'm being serious. I'm done. Hoyer is great.
Take the
All right,
vote.
I've had enough. We're out of here, folks. Thanks for joining us, and follow along, as Dave said, at GT Cash Consider, at Heed These Takes, Matoy Pearson, HB, he's gone, at Gaming Today News, Sports BK Consig. You can find Big Dave, and Jeff is Twitterless, which is the way he likes it. So see you around, everyone.
I am Reynolds 2305, producer.
Oh, man.